Facebook, grid for tuning in. This is designed for realtors, a consumer. You guys can watch it as well. And we're going to talk about the Rule 35. And we talked a little bit about it. Who was there at the event last Thursday? I know Jerry was. Were you there, Tony? I don't remember. And I know Johanna was not. About how the Rule 35 makes and helps you be a better real estate agent. And if you guys will allow me to, I'm just going to dive in. What can you do to, let's say y'all are both going after the same customer. Say I'm the customer. You come in to interview me, or I'm interviewing you to sell my house or to help me purchase a home. And you know also that Joanna's coming in and she's been doing it for 8 years. Or let's say you were going against Diane, who's been doing it how long? A realtor, huh?
2 decades.
2 decades, right? So it's normal for us to have kind of inadequacy feelings that I'm not as good or as experienced as you or you, right? So how can you overcome that to earn my business if you were competing against agents that have been doing it 8, 9, 10, 20 years? What do you think?
My history of selling for 34 years.
Okay.
You have my strength.
How many real estate transactions? I do agree that you probably have good selling skills based on our times that I've met you, but how many real estate transactions have you done since you've been a realtor?
I'm working on one that's probably going to close today, so it's 2 weeks. I've been a realtor, and it's already in the finance stage. So.
That's good. Whizango better be doing that loan. So I want to make that a point, Kate, because if I was interviewing you, I ask really tough questions. I would say that's what concerns me, that you just don't have a lot of transactions and experience under your belt to represent me selling my home. And we're looking for a more experienced agent because we feel we'll get better results. How would you answer that question if I asked you that in a meeting?
It's a small business, what I'm doing, and I've been doing small businesses for 34 years, building my own brand. I know how to market myself and your home, and there's no one else that will spend the time making sure there's as many people out there as I can connect with to see your home.
Okay. That's a good answer. And you could also use that, you have one of the best leaders and a best office, and, you have all the tools and resources to just knock them out of the park. Right. But that's what we're going to talk about. And if you are watching this online, here's what's very important, whether you've been an agent for 10 years or 10 days. Okay. Number one thing you have to do is you have to form relationships with people. Okay. Without relationships, then it's very hard to have people that you can sell houses to. So as realtors or, mortgage lenders, whoever, our job is to be out there, Tony, and building good relationships with people, good, authentic relationships, not just I'm calling to see if you want to sell your house. Okay. But you're just trying to build a good relationship without any expectation of return. And why that's important is because if you'll notice where your deals come from, which they can come from leads, okay, that we are getting from multiple different sources. But the goal when that lead comes in is to build a relationship. The more relationships you have and the more relationship focused you get, the more transactions you'll do. Okay. I have a belief. For 5 years, okay, or for a period of time, our recommendation is 5 years. Our goal is to help agents be able to sell and see the path and how, Jerry, to sell 36 houses in a year, okay? 36 houses in a year. If the average sales price on the low end, we're going to factor $250,000 at a 3% GCI. That equals about $270,000 of GCI, okay? That's great income. Would you agree, okay? So who wants to sell 36 houses this year in 2021? Raise your hand. If you're watching, raise your hand. Give me a little thumbs up or a heart. Everyone in here raised their hands super high. They were shaking it, actually. Okay. So Here it is. We could do this on our mobile phone, sitting in front of and with somebody, right? We could do it on a computer. We can do it in person. We can do it, on a Zoom. We love Zooms because they can follow along. This started, and there's no mortgage. There is no real estate company. There is no mortgage company that has this. This started in my mind. We built the formula, starting out in an Excel spreadsheet, Diane, and then we moved it over into writing our custom code that we are editing. When you're able to explain this, and I'm doing a video today, and you do it in Spanish, and we run a Facebook ad about book a 15-minute call with me. Let me show you how to really be smart at buying real estate with little to no fees. Here's what it's like. I'll go over it with you in 15 minutes. The first Spanish realtor to learn that and put it out, you will have more 15-minute bookings than you can handle in a day. Okay? Why? ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué? Muy importante education para los Latinos in America, right? They need to know how money works. And as I was building this, I would go on college campuses and I'd ask college kids, and he would interview them. And I would be like, I'd ask them questions about credit and money and debt and DTI and how to buy a home. No sabe. They don't know. They just don't know. It's not that they're stupid, but the educational system isn't teaching them money. Okay. So here's how we do this. We always start in the rule of 35. Okay. And we start by, everybody knows this. Okay. And I want if you kind of continue to let me coach and train you on this, to understand the importance of wording that you use and being confident in your, hey, I want to ask you a few questions to really understand your situation so we make a very smart investment in real estate. Is that fair? What do you think they're going to say? Yeah, all right, I'll tell you, right? Here's the second thing that I was going to write here. Relationships, muy importante. And then we need to build trust. They need to know that we're a good advisor. Let's say advisor, and that we are strategic in the way that we advise them. Okay, that's how you compete against a senior agent. Say, listen, let me get 15 minutes. Let's look at where you're at financially, and I'm going to show you how to buy real estate the smart way with little to no fees, and that benefits you financially. Okay, and you take them through this. And I don't care if it's XYZ #1 real estate agent in Texas. If y'all can take a customer through this, they have never seen this before. That's why when we do it, I always get their testimony at the very end. And I love to hear what people say. This is important. And that's what the rule of 35 will help you do. So now you're building relationships, muy importante, and you're scheduling these 15-minute little strategy sessions to take somebody through this process. Okay. And then they're going to go tell other people. Then they're going to refer you. We got to program your clients. And we do that when you send your clients to us. We edify the realtor. Okay. And then we are taking them through a process and we're asking for referrals for you guys. Okay. Those always come back to y'all. And that's one commitment that we make out of, for our real estate partners, for y'all trusting us with our business. Why? Because we're invested in y'all's success. If you close more, hopefully you'll be able to send us more, and then we would make more. So it's a win-win. Everybody knows what their gross income is. Everybody knows what they made in 2020. So what did you make in 2020? They tell me. I would divide it by 12. We need the gross monthly income. What is the gross monthly income? Before taxes, deductions, 401k, health insurance, that's gross. Like, what's your compensation? Let's say they are at 100 grand, which is about 83.3 a month. Right here, I would click the calculator next. Okay, in less than 60 seconds, I can calculate somebody's DTI. Why is that important? Why is it important to know someone's DTI? Do you know what DTI is?
No, but I'm guessing like a big power, or you can afford to spend money.
See. Hey, this is a point, and this is why I don't know if we're streaming live on Facebook or not, but share with any realtor that's in anywhere in the country. And I'm not going to use any names here, but 8 años in real estate, okay? And you've got to really understand what DTI is and why that's important. What's the max DTI that somebody usually get and still obtain a mortgage? Do you know?
Is that 60 or 70?
Ooh, she would not. Yeah, her mortgage company would definitely go bankrupt. So most of the time, okay, conventional is 49.9. Okay, FHA is 56.99. Okay, VA is not calculated on DTI, but it still kind of hangs there. And then jumbo typically is 43%. That's kind of the main products. But so if you're doing this calculation with somebody and their DTI comes to 55, we got to work to get that DTI down. You don't even need to go to a lender yet. Let's talk about what we can do. What are 2 ways you can lower a DTI? What does DTI stand for, Jerry?
Debt ratio.
Debt to income, right? Debt to income. So this is what we calculate. Typically, how do you do DTIs currently with most mortgage companies? Here's what you got to do. They're going to tell you to do an application. Let's run your credit. Let's import your liabilities. And then we'll tell you what your DTI is. Those times are changed when you come to Whizango and you book a 15-minute call. In less than 60 seconds, we can tell you what your DTI is. Pretty dang close without having to pull your credit. Here's how we do it. What are you currently paying for your housing expense? What are you currently paid? I say housing expense because even if it's rent, it has to get paid. I even put rent in here. So let's say somebody's renting and they pay $1,750. Then I would say credit cards. How many credit cards do you have? And they would tell me. And I would ask them, what is the balances on those? Or do you know what the minimum monthly payment is? I can get close if they tell me what the balances are. If you don't have much balance, it's like $25, $35 minimum monthly payment. But if you have 1,000, 2,000, 4,000, 5,000, the minimum monthly payment increases. So let's say they have 2 credit cards with the average balance on the 2 of them. Total is like $3,500. So their minimum monthly payment would be close to around $75. Car loans. Do you have a car loan? They would tell me, what's your car payment? Let's say $350. Do you have another car loan that you're co-signed on or anything? Let's say they do not. They tell me $350. And then the last thing is, do you have any other debt other than your mortgage, other than your car loan and those credit cards? Do you have any other loans or any other debt, student loans or whatever it could be? They would say yes or no. Most people say no, but let's say they do have student loans and they have a minimum monthly payment on those per month of $120. When I click add, it already calculated the DTI. So Mr. Smith, your DTI is 28% of your gross monthly income. So your debt payments equal 28% of your gross monthly income. Question? Car insurance would be under this living expense. Okay. Life insurance would be under the living expense unless it was cash value life insurance. It would be under the investment bucket, okay, which we teach people to put money in life insurance that will grow tax-free and they can access. It's liquid. It's a great account. So if it's not a cash, asset, then it would be under living expense. What is under living expense? Good point. Her question is, where would a car insurance and health insurance and life insurance go? Unless it's an investment and it's building cash value, it would go under living expenses. So think about all the things that you pay for other than your car, your credit cards, your house, and that other student loans and taxes. Think about everything you pay for, okay? Other than your investments, all of those fees would be under living expense: groceries, gas, restaurants, travel, food, total. See, phone bill, car bill, stuff like that. I would ask them, do they file how do they file their taxes? Married, single, head of household. And why it is important, and you'll see, because the tax brackets are different. Like in 22% tax bracket, the max income is 86. So if they filed single, they'd be in a 24% tax bracket. And if this is all W-2 income, it's already fixed with about what the standard deductions are. Now, those watching online, this is for educational purposes only. You probably missed that when I went into the beginning. And I tell people, I am not an accountant, but that gets pretty close about what you're paying in taxes, okay? When you flip it to married, you see how that tax rate goes down to 12%. Why does it do that? Why does the taxes go from 24 filing single to 12% when you're filing married? Deductions went up a little bit that you're eligible for, okay? But the income brackets are different. You see 22% now goes up to 172,000. The other one was 86,000. Muy importante. And in the future, as we teach y'all how to accumulate wealth, we want y'all to get investments into either tax-free investments that are liquid or stuff that's taxed as capital gains. You see the top tax bracket for capital gains? Well, let's just say 15% up to 441,000. Over here, as income, it would be taxed at 35%. So that difference of 20% is very, very significant. You learn that as you go deeper into this. Jaden, I don't want to learn this. I ain't interested. That's why I got a lender partner. Okay, well, keep selling 6 houses a year or 12 houses a year. If you're dealing with investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in real estate, I'm not asking you to go get a mortgage license, but learn this, because in 15 minutes, you can take your customers through a very strategic process that they will love and send more people to, my brother needs to go through this. My son, I'm going to have him call you. You got to do this for him. Everybody wants to see it, and here's why. So let's say that they file and marry, because the first thing that we are solving for, and if I wasn't talking so much, I can do this in literally less than a minute, is their after debt, after tax income, after debt's paid, after their mortgage, after their taxes come out of their paycheck each month. If they're W-2, they've got about $5,316 left. Now, the rule of 35 is applied in 2 areas, many areas, but mainly 2. We want people to understand the importance of having their DTI below 35, okay? If you can see here, when you go above 35, it turns green. Now look here, pay attention as I put this up. See what happens to this number here. Let's say somebody comes to us and they qualify for a conventional loan at 49.9, okay? I'll do the loan. They will qualify. But I want them to understand the math of having that high of a DTI. And when they go over in the 50s, it turns red. But look, they only have $3,500 left after they pay their mortgage, their debt, and their taxes. And they will not be able to save because they're going to need this for every other expense. So they fall into the bucket of 64% of Americans have less than $1,000 saved up because they have too much debt. They're paying too much taxes, guys, and that's the value of y'all being 1099, okay? ¿Por qué? Mira aquí. When you take this to, let's say you make the same income, 100 grand as a realtor, how much more deductions do you have? A lot. Your gas, your mileage, your food, your entertainment, your kind of what you're doing to build your business, marketing. Pay attention here to this. So let's say that you are blessed to have 1099 income. I think everybody should have 1099 income. Just having the income source of 1099 versus W-2 and being eligible for more deductions, we took our taxes from $721 a month to $466. We just basically almost saved $300 in taxes, which gives us more money to invest. So let's put it back. I don't want to get too off track here. Okay, so I show people why they should have this will help you guys teach people how to be smart financially. Trust me, when you make an impact in your client's life, and those watching online, when you make an impact in your client's life and they know that you have their best interest at heart, not just trying to sell a bigger house to make a bigger commission, okay, they are going to send you a bunch of referrals. The name of the game, in my opinion, referrals. Real estate should just be called the referral business. Those that master getting referrals, you don't always have to be spending a bunch of money finding new customers coming in because you have your current ones that are continuing to send, and it runs a better P&L. All right, the next question I'd ask, what do you have liquid? Okay, muy importante. What do you have liquid for the down payment on the house, right? What do you have in the bank? What do you have in liquid cash that you can get? Because you got to make sure they have enough money for the down payment, right? So let's say they've got $55,000. this here is going to pull in their contributions. If somebody was able to invest 35%, they're going to be able to see these calculations of how we can compound and grow over a period of time. And we teach them how to have a balanced investment portfolio and stay liquid. And the importance of having your money in compound investments, that's where your money is making money for you. You shouldn't, I won't go into the weeds too much on that, but very important. Compound interest, especially as when we're young, you can just put a little in and let it compound for a period of time, and it just goes, it does amazing things over a period of 20, 30 years, but it's got to be in compound investments. We're going to talk about investing in real estate with little to no fees. Would you like for me to show you that? They're going to say yes with the customer. So now we know their DTI is good. We know that they've got cash for the down payment. I'd ask the customer, hey, what do you think your credit score is? Okay. What do you know? Most people now know about what their FICO is because Credit Karma. Everyone has credit cards. We have that little credit tracking app. And so we will always update, like my guys are updating the par no fee interest rates. Today it's about 2.99. Rates have dipped. If you're watching this, talk to your real estate agent because rates have dropped this week pretty significantly. We can get it back in the twos. All right, so I would have HAR open, okay? I won't pull it up right now. Oh, screw it, let's pull it up. Anybody got a listing? I'll just look in the Woodlands. That's where our headquarters is. If you're watching online, let's go with max price. Let's say this customer wants to buy a $385,000 house. Let's find one. It doesn't matter if it's under contract. We're going to go ahead and come here. Look, the taxes here are $764. Do y'all know that this exists on HAR? Do y'all ever use this down here? So this house is at $385. So let's come here. Taxes are at $764. Woodlands does not have an HOA. Now we're going to say we're going to buy it at $385. Customer said, I'll put 5% down. What's the minimum down you can put on a conventional? Minimum down payment required on a conventional.
Easy pay 305 cheapy pay.
What's the minimum down payment on a conventional loan?
20%?
No. 5% or 10%.
5% is correcto most of the time. Now we do have a conventional loan that's 3% down. Okay, but it's income based. They can't make more than like 74,000 or whatever the median income is. But typically, conventional is 5% down. Yeah, you're close. That's most people's answer on college campuses. Most people think 20% down, but you don't need to. What's the minimum down payment on an FHA? 3.5. What's the minimum down payment on a VA? Y'all can't answer. No. 0. All right, cool. So we're going to say 5% down. Let's say this rate will always be there as a kind of where the market is. Again, this is educational purposes only. As real estate agents, you let your customers know that you're not a mortgage lender. You're just kind of giving an idea of what the options are. But now you need to talk to your mortgage lender next and get fully pre-approved when we're ready. And we can pre-qual your customers and instantly with some software that we have without affecting their credit. All you got to do here, if you want to see if they don't know what their FICO score is, you come to the website and you do get instantly pre-qualified. Click there. And then it'll take them usually most of the time, they just have to enter their name, address, phone, and email. And then they'll get instant results right then if they're pre-qualified. And it doesn't affect their credit. Okay, so if they don't know what their credit is.
So would that be considered a
supple? Yeah, it actually pulls in Experian. It pulls in one, but it gives us a good idea of their payments, their debt, and then we wrote algorithms to say, hey, they're credit pre-qualified, right? All right, so 5% down here. We know the taxes. We got it from HAR or wherever your MLS is. If you're not in Houston or around here, it's $764. What do y'all think homeowners insurance would cost for a $385,000 house per month? Homeowners insurance. What do you think it would cost? Guess. Per mes. Say, per mes. Okay, I would say depending on who they go to, it's going to be about $100. Okay. Mortgage insurance. One thing great for your customers, if they come to us for their mortgage, is we can get them discounted or give them access to discounted mortgage insurance, and save quite a bit of money for them there. With some of our contracts that we have in the market, they have a good credit score. Let's say it's 0.22. There's no HOI. Okay. Now look how cool this is. Their payment is $24.71. Who remembered what their payment was today on the previous page when I was calculating? Who remembers what I put in there? Right? We put $17.50 is what they were paying. Okay. So now after you structure the payment, the first thing that you do is you jump back here and you show them, now this payment went up. It's going to make your DTI now a 36. Okay. Because it was a 28. This payment that we structure on that page will always pull over and update that housing expense. If they're going to keep that other house, okay, you would just add $17.50 to this, and you would just to give a full number, unless they were going to rent it out and offset that income, which most of them would do if they were getting. Now, this will become with some more training here, and I'm going to show y'all how to play with this. We could get rid of having to pay any origination fee. There could be an appraisal waiver that would keep us from needing to have to pay an appraisal, and it would speed up the process. But for now, they're going to be prefixed. The only ones that you really will be changing is the lender fee, okay? Because your clients don't have to pay lender fees if they don't want to pay lender fees. But if you go to most mortgage companies, they don't get that option because there's lender fees in Section A of the CD and the LE that they have to pay, underwriting, origination, processing, so on. I would tell this customer, you're working with Joanna. She's a great realtor, and I bet you she gets the sellers to pay the owner title policy and their lender's title insurance survey. We could probably track down. So it would take about $2,700 in fees. That's pretty dang close to make an investment in this $385,000 house. How can we invest with zero fees? That's little fees. Knowing what's in the market, that is super little of fees making a $400,000 investment. But how could you do it with them not having to even pay those fees? So how to buy houses with little to no fees. How could we go no fees? Down payment assistance. That's one way. In a normal market, think about, have you ever submitted an offer where you've asked the sellers to pay closing costs?
Yeah.
How much do you usually ask? What's usually half? Give me a number. 3,000. That's good. Most of the time when you write it, you're asking for 5 or 6 or 7. You're asking, all in what the total closing costs would be. But fees would be $2,700. So when the market gets back to normal, we could submit an offer, even if we had to bump the sales price just by $2,700, because that would only change the payment per 1,000. Your client's finance changes the payment by about $5 is a good rule of thumb. So it only changed the payment if we had to increase the sales price, as long as it appraised by, $12, $13. Okay. But in a normal market, instead of asking for $6,000 in fees, we can ask, hey, $2,700 in fees. Now the sellers paid your fees. Now you made this investment without putting any fees into that investment. Because the prepaid section in the top right corner are not fees. This is interest. This is insurance. You have to pay, your clients have to pay 12 months of insurance at closing, whether they escrow or waive escrows. That's just a given. Now, if they want to set up an escrow account, what does it mean to escrow your taxes and insurance, Jerry?
What does it mean?
Mm-hmm. Tony? What does it mean to escrow or waive? Do you want to escrow or waive escrow? What does that mean?
Well, if you decide for escrow, it's included on your monthly payment. your
affect
taxes and your insurance.
Yeah.
I don't know if now it's optional because in the past it was an option. And I don't know if it's an option.
Right, and it's always been an option. VAs, it's not. You got to escrow, right? Typically, you have to put 20% down, and you have the choice to waive escrows, and wouldn't have to put in an extra, what is that, $2,600 into your escrow account down here. You're basically paying 3 months of insurance in advance, 3 months of taxes in advance. You're making one payment of $2,471. The mortgage company pays your taxes at the end of the year and when it's due, and then they pay your insurance. Okay. Now with Whizango, we can give, as long as they have a 585 or 680 FICO, as long as they're putting 5% down, we can give them the option. We want to give your customers more options. Let them choose how they want to do the loan, but they can waive escrows with 5% down with the 680 FICO, and we don't charge a higher rate or charge any fees, no difference in pricing or the way that we would charge them on the loan, but it just gives them the option to waive escrows. So if they waived escrows with putting 5% down, let's say this customer did want to, it's $1,655, okay, is what the prepaids. The prepaids are different from fees. Fees are fees to get the loan. Prepaids are taxes, interest, and insurance that you're going to be paying forever. Okay, those aren't fees; they're just a part of the housing expense. But the rule of thumb of when we advise somebody if they want to waive escrows, if they are wanting to, is how are they good with their money? Do they have money saved up? Okay, if somebody doesn't have money saved up, we encourage them to escrow, because the last thing you want to get is you don't have enough money to pay your taxes or insurance, because they will come put a lien on the property and be forced you to foreclose. Okay, so here's a summary of the transactions. We're adding some more stuff here, like earnest money deposit, like seller credits, different things. But basically, you'd be buying the house for $385,000. You're putting a down payment of 5%. The fees to make this investment, again, I'm not your mortgage lender, as I would be. That's why wording is very important going through this. It's about $2,700. The prepaids, like your taxes and your insurance and interest, would be $1,655. So all in, to make this investment, down payment, fees, plus your prepaids are going to run about $23,000. Okay. Now, if we structured it like that, that would leave you with about, what is 23, 32, about $32,000 left after you make this real estate investment. Now, what was their DTI? They were at 36, okay? If they were lower than a 35, okay, I would use this exercise. The loan, the payment you just structured with HAR is right there. You see that? Those are all the terms that we just put in, okay? Now, we can modify this on a 15-year, and they're going to update this because this par rate with no fees is about 2.375. We give your customers the option to pay lender fees or discount points. Here's the honest par rate with no fees. Do you want to pay your fees like what you see other companies advertise, or do you not want to pay fees? We give them those options. But you can scroll down. This is called a loan compare. They can see that they're on a 30, they're going to be paying about $188,000 in total interest. They can see on a 15, it's about 73. And then if you wanted to, they could come here and play with just, hey, let's say you're going to make an extra $300 in principal payment. Okay, you could see how you could shave that from 170 down to 139. And I would advise you every year, I'd like to meet with you and kind of go over this and see where you're at to see if maybe we can accelerate the payoff a little bit more aggressive and save some interest. Why is that important? Okay. What is the average time somebody stays in their home?
5 years.
5 years. Let's look at a 5-year window. Okay. Let's look at a regular 30. Let's look at it here. Let's take that extra principal payment home. Okay. So, oh man, this is 5 years, length of term, 15, 2.3. Got it. I erased that. 285. Okay. Check this out. Okay. Mira, yeah. 5 years, your client calls. They're going to be wanting to sell the house. Hey, I'm ready to sell the house. Okay. Look, on the 30-year mortgage, their principal, their balance on their mortgage is going to be about $325. Okay. Over here on the 15, they're going to be about 257. That is a huge difference. That means they're going to net that much more when you sell their house. You see the difference on a 15, their balance is 257. Over here is still 325. That's a huge difference. So when they go sell their house, that's covering realtor fees. That's covering a lot when they look at the acceleration of extra principal. But they say, I don't want to do a fixed, because what is the fixed 15? This one's 1540. And then on this is 2417. So you're looking at a solid, what? 900-ish bucks a month. So they can see here that in months that they want, if they just pay extra principal, in 5 years, instead of being 325, we brought it down to 305, okay? The rule of thumb on it, when someone should consider doing a 15 to protect their investment, to give a bigger return, is if their DTI is below a 35. Now, this is where this is advanced. Okay, the structure of a mortgage payment is, let's just say, algebra 1. Okay, now as you get more into this, and I teach you more, this is more calculus. If you were to say the different steps of learning, because it pulls in what their balance. Remember, after they bought the house, it's going to leave you with 32. Your DTI is in line right now where you should be being able to invest about $1,600 a month. That, and if you, the first thing that we ask for you to play with is the percentage that you want to give as tithes or offering or giving. I don't want y'all, as we work to do this, okay, to where we are working on income and accumulating debt, and we are being, where we're just keeping. We need to give. We need a percentage of your money should be given to your church, or should be given to good causes. You should give. I think God blesses us more in other areas when we do that. You can play with the percentage. Let's say 10% or 20. And this is after debt, after tax. After your debt and taxes are paid, that's the number that you are playing around on how much you want to be giving. So after the tithe and the giving, it would leave about $1,286. Now, I could teach on this for a long time, but we're going to end so we can handle some other stuff. We believe in that you should be investing at least 10% of that number into your business to create more income. Okay, you control that return, and then also into personal development. You should be investing 10% based on our opinion. You do what you want into creating more income, to have more investments. You should have a percentage set aside to make more real estate purchases. We really believe in teaching people how to not only buy one house, but to build a real estate portfolio, especially if they follow this plan. And I teach this in a course over 8 weeks, because at the end, if they create income, okay, if they lower debts, what happens is now you have a lot of liquidity and you're bankable. You have a good credit score. You can go to a bank. I want to buy $1 million lake house and I'm going to VRBO on blah, 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 or wherever, because you're bankable. 40% should be in a stocks, or depending on age. Okay. That's why you can play with these percentages. You can go up and down. You can play with percentages. I don't even really play with returns that we're getting on digital currency because they're so big. Okay. It goes crazy, but you could play with what to do with your money that is left. We teach people how to build a tax-free retirement. If you already have an investment, that's doing great. You can play with your numbers there. The value of our advice is business, you're in control of the return. Real estate always gets a steady return, and it'll be that way forever, but it's not liquid. Equity in a home is not liquid. If you lose your job, if you need that equity, you have 2 ways to get it. Sell your house, which you don't mind if your clients come back, I want to sell, right? So that's not bad. Or they have to come to me and borrow the equity. So if they lost their job or had hardship, they may not be able to borrow. They lose that, they can't access that equity.
How do you qualify for a loan if you don't have a job?
So,
You have equity in your house, but you don't have a job.
See, you can't borrow. You can't borrow. You got to sell. Right, exactamente. See, stocks, digital currencies, liquid, and tax as capital gains. The tax-free retirement we do using index universal life insurance contracts that you'll never pay taxes again on that if you use the money right. It's liquid and it's accessible. So what we have just done is we are very strategic on how we invest in real estate. And we are showing you how to get your money in good interest-bearing vehicles that are free of being taxed as income. I showed you all the difference of income taxes, and that's a big difference of capital gains versus earned income or ordinary income. Muy importante as we build up big assets in the future. So let's summarize, and then we're going to end. Todo. This is in Spanish too. Any realtor that speaks Spanish, I need to finish doing that, can utilize this, and it is a game changer. We can, in less than 60 seconds, calculate a DTI and see if they have liquid assets to even purchase a home. Here you can structure a mortgage payment intelligently and show them about what it would take to buy. So at the end of these two calculators, you will know in less than 10 minutes, 15 minutes, if you have a qualified customer, but they just saw a very strategic advice and guidance from you that I promise you, if you do it right, they're going to be referring you people right then, because they're going to want other people to see this because they just saw their financial picture in a way that they've never seen it before. Let me paint this in your mind. No credit pool, no application, just good, honest guidance and advice. Now, what would you like to do? Well, let's go buy it. Let's list the house, right? So I'm going to stop this. Whizango.com if you're interested to learn any more about that. I don't know how that live stream went. This is a little test case. So Whizango's here to help serve you and your customers and do more business and do better business. Learning the Rule 35 could literally change your life if you want it. You guys have a good day. If we can help you at all, look us up.